Yo, what is up guys, this is Tyrannic Swine here and welcome to another video. This time, it's not a game review, this time we're doing my top 5 games of 2016. Now, I know January is almost over by the time this video comes out, but hey, I am missing out on a video like this. 2016 was a fairly interesting year for gaming. It wasn't as disappointing or as crappy as 2014 or 2015, so there was definitely an improvement, but the games I chose as my top 5 for this year are probably just as interesting, though there's probably going to be some games on this list that a lot of you will think don't really deserve to be on here, or other games deserve to be in their places, but this is strictly my opinion, and these are the games that I enjoyed the most in 2016. So, let's get into the list. Starting in at number 5 is Battlefield 1, a game I was really looking forward to throughout 2016, but because this game was made by DICE and EA after 2015, which was because of the terribleness that was Star Wars Battlefront, I was a little skeptical about this game, even though it was being set in one of my favorite eras in history, which was World War I. But I still remain skeptical just in case. But once I played this game, it was mostly fantastic. It's pretty much one of the best games I've played in 2016 multiplayer wise, as every time I've been trying to think of a game to play at nighttime or something like that, I couldn't think of anything, I would just usually go onto Battlefield 1's multiplayer, and it was always fun to play. And yeah, this game was really damn fun to play. The graphics were really done well. The multiplayer had quite a decent amount of game modes, especially Operations, which is probably the best thing that's happened for the Battlefield franchise for a good long time. A lot of the normal usual game modes that are in there are also done well. But then the thing that is wrong with this game is really the campaign. Even though it was decent to play, it was really short, and it concentrated on too many characters, not giving you enough time to get used to them and like them enough. And yes, that really did hurt this game's reputation in some ways, but the multiplayer was just really fantastic to play, and you couldn't really get bored of it really quickly, especially since there was a lot of stuff to unlock in the customizations area and stuff and all that. But yeah, Battlefield 1 was definitely a game that honestly I didn't expect to be as good as it was. I was expecting there to be a downside in some areas. Hell, even when the game first came out, the battle packs that it had weren't even showed off as payable deals, well, not as payable microtransactions. They have become that now, but it doesn't seem to be as terrible on a scale as some other games like Halo 5 Guardians and even the previous Battlefield games with their microtransactions. But nonetheless, despite the campaign, Battlefield 1 definitely deserved a place on my list, and it is at number 5. But let's see what the other games have to offer. Coming in at number 4 is Gears of War 4. Now, after Halo 5 Guardians released, I was again a little skeptical about this game, fearing that it would end up in the same way, whereas they would hype the game up pretty high and then it would turn out to be not as good as we thought it would be. Luckily, this didn't happen entirely for Gears of War 4, as pretty much mostly overall, this game was really actually fun and a decent sequel for the Gears franchise. Even though this is a new start, or a new trilogy, with new characters, I still thought they were actually pretty decent throughout the game, and they managed to hold it up throughout the whole way, along with the backing of older characters from the previous Gears trilogy. And I honestly did like the campaign. It did feel like all the other previous Gears games in some way or form, but with a new twist to it. Yeah, the first 2 chapters, even though you're fighting robots, did get a bit tedious at a certain point, but once you got past that, the game picked right back up again, and it was just a fun-ass game to play. And it was actually pretty difficult as well at some times, especially if you play it for the first time. Yeah, even though I am a bit of a Gears veteran myself, I did find some parts of the game pretty damn difficult, on normal, even though I had a friend to back me up. But other than that, I think the campaign was done particularly damn well, compared to other Gears games as well. Horde is just as good as ever. It basically combines the best aspects of Gears 3 Horde and the survival mode, from Gears of War Judgment, and they basically combine those two together. And Gears of War 4's Horde is actually pretty done very well. You basically fight against the Swarm and basically the robotic enemies. I can't remember who the hell they're called again, and they're nicely spaced out, and basically you have to construct fortifications and stuff like that and hold out as long as you can. The Horde mode in Gears of War 4 was nicely done again. And then there's the multiplayer. Now, usually I don't play the Gears of War multiplayer all that often, so when I eventually review all the other Gears of War games, don't expect me to say a lot about the multiplayer, since Gears of War's multiplayer is mainly for the more hardcore type gamers, and I am pretty damn shit at Gears multiplayer. But I played a few matches, and I honestly thought if I did play this game more often on a multiplayer, I thought there would actually be a decent amount of enjoyment from it, and I thought it was pretty damn fun to play. The few downsides of this game is the microtransactions. It's not as bad as Halo 5 Guardians, but it's still pretty in your face in some areas. Luckily, the customization is also quite diverse too. And there's another thing is probably the lack of some weaponry from previous Gears games, and a few lack of enemies too. There's actually to be honest, there's quite a lot of enemies to fight, but comparing the amount of swarm types there is, it's not really all that much, to be honest, but obviously there'll be more in the next Gears games, obviously. So overall, I thought Gears 4 was a really nice installment for the Gears franchise, and pretty much keeps up the epicness that is Gears of War, and that is why it is at my number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Titanfall 2. Probably one of the more underrated games of the year, mainly because it came out in between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and mainly because of the feedback from the first Titanfall game. It obviously didn't get as much credit from those two games, including from that it wasn't really advertised much either. But Titanfall 2 was a spectacular sequel for this franchise. It is most certainly what it needed to bounce back after what Titanfall 1 offered. Titanfall 2 is basically what Titanfall 1 should have been in the first place. This gave us an epic campaign, showing us the relationship between a pilot and a Titan. And these two characters are done pretty damn well. Even though the campaign in this game is pretty short, because it only concentrates on 2 characters instead of a bunch, it basically makes it more superior to Battlefield 1's, and it also has a few twists and turns as well as a campaign in Titanfall 2, even going into the time travel aspect, which is something I didn't really expect it to go to, but it surprisingly fitted quite nicely. There is a lot more stuff in this game compared to the first Titanfall as well. There is a lot more customization, more Titans, more weapons. Hell, there's a lot. I don't know if there's more game modes or stuff like that, or maps, but they definitely seem like the same amount, which is a good thing. The multiplayer is just so well done. It plays just as well as the first Titanfall game, if not a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know. I think they're both on par with each other. It's just that really the only concern I had with the first Titanfall game is that it needed a campaign, well, a proper campaign, and a few more extra stuff in the multiplayer, as there wasn't really a lot of customizational options in the multiplayer in the first Titanfall game. Titanfall 2 finally makes that a reality, and yeah, Titanfall 2 definitely deserves to be recognized as a game, because the thing is, this game didn't do quite well when it first came out, and I think it's fucking sucks that EA decided to put this in between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, making it seem like they didn't really have as much faith in this game. But really, if you have the time and opportunity to get this game, get it, because it is certainly worth your time, and it was definitely worth my time. I really did enjoy this game, and it is probably one of the best sequels I have played in 2016. Coming in at number 2 is a nostalgic gem of 2016, and that is Unravel. And this is actually the third game on this list that was published by EA. The hell has happened to these guys? These past 2 years they've been pretty much a pain in the ass, but this year they seem to have turned a new leaf. But nonetheless, Unravel proves that indie games can be amazing if they are treated with the proper care and, well, sweetness, maybe. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but whatever. Unravel was just an amazing game. It's a adventure platforming type game that really was just epic to play. It's like it had an amazing soundtrack at times. It had a brilliant character. It was just amazing to just see them go through the person that they were owned by, the life that they had to go through. And it shows how life can be. It's quite hard to explain Unravel because it really did have a great story behind it, a great meaning about life, and it really was just an awesome game to look at, play, and to see what was going on. Like, the puzzles themselves were really good in their own way. It finally presented a good challenge. And yes, there were other games like this, that were developed by indie developers, like Inside, but I never really had the chance to play, and I know that sucks, but Unravel is the one I chose here, and I probably still would have chose it, because I really was impressed by Unravel, and this came out at the start of 2016. This has been on my top 5 list, well, when I was deciding when to make this video. This has been on one of my choices ever since I finished it back in February in 2016, or April, whenever I did play it. But Unravel was just such an epic masterpiece, and I really would like to see more games like this in the future. Hopefully that will bring back a nostalgic feeling that I haven't felt since like the early 2000s, when I was playing on my PS2, playing games like Jak and Daxter and Ratchet & Clank and Crash Bandicoot. I want to see those games come back, along with the usual modern type games that have an extra sweet twist in them. But Unravel was a spectacular surprise, and at the very beginning of 2016, it showed me that 2016 had quite a good promise for it, and luckily, it did. So yeah, Unravel was just a masterpiece, and if you haven't got it, try it. Even though it's a pretty short game, it did take me like 12 or 13 hours, that's still a good amount of time for a game. So yeah, Unravel is definitely an amazing game. But sadly, it couldn't quite beat my number 1. And coming in at number 1 is Doom. This is how you do a remaster. This was spectacular. I love Doom. It basically brings back the epicness of what Doom was when it originally came out all those years ago in the 90s, and it has a and then is given a nice modern twist to it. This is how you do it. This is how you make a friggin' brilliant first-person shooter. And this is something that a lot of first-person shooters need to take note of. And yes, I'm saying that to Halo as well, since after the latest installments, well, after Halo 5 Guardians, it definitely needs to learn from its past in some ways, but still add new things to it. That is what Bethesda did with Doom, and they made it fucking fantastic. If anyone watched my game review, you should have known from the beginning, well, or by the end of it, that you knew this was going to be on my top 5, if not at number 1, because I did give this a 10 out of 10, the only game in 2016 for me that got a 10 out of 10, just because of how amazing it is. And even though it does have a 10 out of 10, that doesn't mean it has flaws, but those flaws are so outsized by the positives. This is one of those This is one of those games that just proves that you don't need an overly complex story to make it good. All you need is a simple story of killing demons as much as possible in a badass suit of armor, and just saving Mars from an imminent threat that could destroy all of humanity. Pretty much that is all you need. And then, not only that, with an awesome campaign that had a shit ton of collectibles that were actually really relevant to the game, which I have not seen for a very good long time, it also had friggin' multiplayer as well. The multiplayer was okay. It wasn't something I'd probably be playing often, but it got the job done. Not only that, it also had the Snap Map, excuse me, the Snap Map game mode, which really did actually help out this game a lot, because a lot of games that have had the forge type mechanic, like Halo and even Far Cry, this one did it pretty damn well. It goes more into, it more delves into the Far Cry area, which is where you're able to put in enemy AI and stuff like that. Hell, you can even create your own game modes in the Snap Map, and I thought this was a really cool idea because it means it gives the game more longevity, of course, and it keeps you coming back to see what other people have played, have created. And so yeah, Doom was just spectacular. Not only that, there's even like secrets in the campaign where you can find classic levels from the previous Doom games, like Doom 1 and 2, and those were really fun to play as well. It was really fun seeing the old time map style, but with the remastered Doom guide enemies, and it was really just a hell of a lot of fun was Doom. It was just fantastic. That's all I can say for Doom. It is basically how you do a first-person shooter and how you do a remaster. And I'm really looking forward to the other games that Bethesda's making, like Prey, maybe even the new Quake game. I'm a little bit concerned about that one though. But other than that, yeah, Doom was my best game of 2016, and I don't regret it, to be honest. And I know there's probably other games that do deserve on this list as well, but Doom is the game that I chose to be the number one. So, that is my top 5 games of 2016. Now I know there was other games in 2016 that probably do deserve to be on this list, like Watch Dogs 2, Final Fantasy 15, Overwatch, hell, maybe even ReCore, but to be honest, Overwatch I felt like was a bit too overrated, to be honest. It was a fun MMO, but it didn't have what it takes to be on my top 5. And some of those other games I didn't really get around to, like Watch Dogs 2 and Final Fantasy 15, which could have been contenders, in all honesty. But never got around to them, to be honest. And I was a little bit skeptical about them too. But nonetheless, these were my top 5 games of 2016. Hope you have enjoyed this list. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you think I've missed or could have been on this list, or what was on your list. And so, I shall see you guys in the next random video.